Peter Piper picked a pair of prickly peppers.
Quickly go on mine, Supes? Yeah, perfect.
He sells seashells on the seashore. Be sure.
Yes, people, welcome back to Never a Foul. Make sure you do two things. Make sure you like this video, and if you're new as well, make sure you subscribe and let us know your thoughts in the comments, because we're talking about the best game of the season so far for me. 5 days ago, we were talking about Chelsea-Tottenham. That was for VAR. Today, we are talking about the Chelsea-Man City game for footballing reasons only. Before we get into it, obviously, I'm with Daps, as always, Man City fan. We're going to dissect it for like 15 minutes, but Daps, that game was crazy. As a neutral, I'm not gonna lie, I madly enjoyed it. I don't know what it felt for you as a Man City fan. Did you enjoy it as much as I did, or was it just nervous?
You never enjoy a game, bro. I enjoyed Monday game. Chelsea. This one was, I don't know. It was almost like what
was it? Because, and the only reason we'll get into it is because you say it was what you expected, but earlier we were talking about how Chelsea struggles to score goals. You know, how you've beaten them 6 games in a row. They haven't scored against you 6 games in a row. So how is it what you expected?
Was I not saying, but I've learned from the Arsenal game against Chelsea and the Tottenham game against Chelsea.
And Liverpool earlier in the season.
And the Liverpool game was a bit
different, yeah.
But no, to be fair, yeah. And that as well. But the Liverpool one, yeah, in all 3 of them, I went into it saying I don't know what Chelsea will get out of it. Maybe the first one, not so much, because we hadn't seen Chelsea being non-clinical in front of goal, right? So we didn't know what to expect from Chelsea in the first game of the season.
Yeah.
But with the Arsenal and the Tottenham game, and also, if I'm being real, I'm a City fan that always reverts to being nervous going into game. I kind of was going into this one thinking it should be, but often when you think it should be, it isn't.
Yep, 100%. And that's why you don't want to ever be constant.
And that's why I was kind of saying.
Because was it for you though? Was it more Chelsea don't take their chances, and you were thinking in your head, if they do take their chances, because they have been creating chances this season, it might be today against us. So that's what's always in the back of your head, isn't it? Because they had chances and they don't score.
With me, it's ultimately my go-to that half of my life, City used to be that team that always effed up. Right? So my go-to is always that we'll F up. But when you sit and you break down a game, I've got to give them credit. Firstly, I said, you know, so far this season, they haven't really been clinical. They were today.
Yeah, they're better today.
Secondly, I said that I don't feel that Chelsea fitness is there yet and that they'll drop off. They didn't drop off today. I think the subs, the 3 subs they made them at the right times.
Yep.
And they came on and gave them a fresh lease of life. I think, and do you know what? Like, so the Chelsea-Tottenham game, yes, Chelsea won, but we would say
they still didn't perform amazingly with 9 men.
Well,
no, yeah.
Right. But today
the performance was there.
Well, man. They performed well. And you know what? Right. I will say I don't think City
performed to their best.
To our best.
I agree.
But at the same time, I wouldn't say, no, Chelsea weren't good, we were bad. I think Chelsea were good.
And that's where I respect you for that.
And we weren't at our absolute best. But it's not to a point like when Arsenal played Chelsea, Arsenal looked off.
Yeah.
City didn't look off today. And Rodriguez came out after the game and said, I think he got asked how he feels. And he said, to be fair, tired.
Yeah.
Right? That is what.
It was like
and
a
I think that game,
game.
was mentally and physically tired. Because I was tired watching it.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of them, like, for a neutral, it was brilliant because you think tactically, you don't know how it's going to set up. I thought the midfield battle was interesting because obviously they've got natural midfielders, I'd say, in terms of the Gallagher, Enzo, Caicedo, and then you have Rodri. You had obviously Alvarez playing in a 10, and then obviously Kovacic was on the bench. And I just feel like the way Chelsea play, when I look at Pochettino and his sides, the way he's set up, Southampton when he was there, when he had the Sadio Mane team and, you know, Graziano Pella and all them players, then he goes to Tottenham. They were a high energy pressing team. And you can see what you said earlier in the earlier stream is that Chelsea have lacked a bit of that energy for 90 minutes. I feel like they're adjusting, just like Liverpool did when Jurgen Klopp came in.
Exactly.
They're adjusting to Pochettino's demands of the high energy, the pressing factor, and they're getting better at it. And you're seeing it as a game-by-game basis. And this is why I've told Chelsea fans, even at the start of the season or even neutral fans, just chill out on Pochettino because a lot of people are onto him for the money factor. But this guy's a coach. And I think when you give him time with the signings he's got, he's one of the managers. They've got him in, yes, to do well this season, of course. But in the second, third and fourth season, I do believe that Chelsea are going to be a threat to the big teams. They're going to be back up there competing. And today you can see glimpses of why they can compete against the top teams because at home, Arsenal should have beaten them, drew.
Yeah.
Liverpool played well in spells, drew
Second
that game.
half, though, the better team.
Second half, played better, yeah. Today, I'm not going to say they deserved to win.
First half, would you say they were better?
First half, I thought they were good, yeah. I say they deserved a draw and not to lose, and nor did City, really. So I think when you look at it for Chelsea, there's a lot of positives for them to take because in the big games, they have delivered. It's the small games against Brentford like 2 weeks ago. They haven't won, and they need to start winning them. But I thought today, the midfield battle was interesting. Do you think Pep got it right in the midfield, or would you have changed it?
I don't think. Doku has come in, and Doku is absolutely cooking, right? 100%. I'm not going to say he was bad today. I don't think he was bad.
I thought he was all right, yeah.
I think he got the better of Reece James a couple of times. Reece James got the better of him a couple of times. But we're without John Stones at the moment, right? And John Stones moving in from the right-back position and sitting next to Rodri gives that control, right? Especially moving forward with the...
Do you think you missed that today?
I think without the control being the key word, without him, if you think start of the season before Stones came back, who was playing well at the start of the season? Kovacic.
On the bench.
He's dropped off recently. But at the start of the season when Stones wasn't there, where his role was to sit next... And then you look at Kovacic's bad games, by the way. Kovacic's bad games came when Rodri was not there, right? When Kovacic was having to do a role that isn't his role, right? The DM role, that's not his role. Kovacic next to Rodri worked, right? I think we missed him. And the other one is, this is why I mentioned Doku, that I think Grealish also gives us an element of control.
I think he was poor when he came on, though, today. And I'm not saying Grealish is a bad player.
And you know
I just think when he came on, he didn't have the things that Grealish is good at, retaining the ball, keeping you up high at the pitch, his passing. I just thought it was just one of them games. Everyone can have a bad game.
But do you think maybe, I don't know what minute Grealish came in on. And I don't know.
60 minutes.
What was the score?
Was 3-2 to you lot.
Right, okay, so he was brought on for control. And that's a valid point. I don't think Grealish was that good today. But I do think Grealish brings control, Kovacic brings control, Stones bring control. None of those three started. Right?
So you lack the control because when you think about the other players that were on the Doku, for example, Foden, Alvarez, they're more high-tempo finish stuff. They're not controllers.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So we talk about Chelsea, you as an opponent, where do you give Chelsea their props? Where do you think they got it right?
So I would say I've got to give massive props to. We'll move on to the main one, but Gallagher was good today.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
I was going to bring this up when we were talking about what Poch. I don't think Enzo was good today.
I agree.
He got pulled. I don't think Caicedo was amazing today, right?
No.
Right, two of their biggest signings, right? Does this show you that Poch works well with people that he can get working hard?
Or did the game, because we talk about the game being a basketball game, it was up and down.
Yeah.
Gallagher's got legs. That's his biggest thing. When we don't look at Gallagher for passing. We don't look at him for
Gallagher broke up play well. He was
broke
all
up
over the gap.
If a game is a tennis match, you want Gallagher in your team.
And
it suits him. And to be fair, that's probably why he did stand out.
Yeah.
Because it became like that.
And then in hindsight, if you look at it, Raheem Sterling also stood out. Great game. And do you know what? Raheem, when he played for us, often didn't have good games against Liverpool. I think since he's been at Chelsea so far, he's only played us a handful of times, but hasn't had good games. But today, he stepped up.
Yeah, he did.
Had a good game against an old team.
Got into the little pocket sort of in between Rodri and Walker. Yeah. So do you think Poch has got it right in general then in terms of high intensity? He made it a fast-paced game.
He seems to have this thing where, with fast-paced games and also getting the best out of players in big games. He seems to be able to get them up for it.
Is it a problem, though, that we're sitting here praising Chelsea for big games and what they've done this season, but at the moment, the losses to Brentford at home, just as an example, 2 weeks ago, that they can't quite get up to the medium games? Is it a mentality issue?
I think there's a thing with a lot of teams. That
or do they play better just because the Arsenals, the Liverpools and Cities are coming onto them? All the other teams think they sit back. So maybe do you think it's their...
That's a thing. It's a thing. Look at Arsenal at the start of last season when teams weren't expecting Arsenal to be the team they were.
100%.
Arsenal were looking better than they are now, where everyone knows, do you know what, we're just going to play a low block against this team. And I think today, the fact that Chelsea came at us, it's always been a bit of a blueprint that not enough clubs follow. That when you play Manchester City, you can sit back and do the low block and try and frustrate us, but 99 times out of 100, will break you down. To play Manchester City and do that, you have to be very good at doing the low block, and also when you do get opportunities, take them, right? Like Wolves was a great example. And every now and again, a team has that success. But if you look at teams that actually come at us, again, do you know what? Either way which you go with, it's a risk.
Yeah.
But I think today Chelsea pulled it off well. For City, if we're talking on our players, I think we lacked the control in the middle of the pitch. I think Haaland was really good today.
Yeah, I really liked him today. I think he could have scored more, and that's not a discredit to him. I think he got in great positions and sometimes didn't get the ball. I tell you one thing I do want to big up on Haaland. A lot of people talk about Haaland being just a goal scorer. For me, that goal that they scored today, when he got the ball at the halfway line, twisted up, I think it might have been Casado, and played it out wide, and then he went on and scored.
Yeah.
I was looking at Haaland. I think that was for the goal just after half time, actually, when Alvarez squares it. But I was like, do you know what? That just shows
that late as well.
Yeah, it just shows that he's developing as a player and he's becoming more of an all-round player as well. A bit like Darwin Núñez as well. I look at him as just a goal scorer, but this season he's showing more to his game. And I think as these sort of strikers evolve, Haaland's still young in his early 20s, Núñez as well. If they can start getting that into their game as well as the goal scoring, they're going to be a handful of strikers. So, I've got a big up Haaland today. I thought he was really good.
Haaland was. I'm unsure. I don't think Rodri was brilliant. Scored the goal, but I think
that goes back to what you said. I feel like Kovacic has been there at the start of the season, which is giving that extra security, and allowed Rodri, which people look at him as a DM. He is a DM, but he's great at breaking the lines and getting forward, and he scores quite a lot of goals. Sometimes he can't quite do that because he hasn't got that protection, and also John Stones, because Akanji kind of filled in that role today. I'm not trying to get onto Akanji, but I think
he's not John Stones.
Yeah, you're not John Stones, but also you're playing Chelsea, so coming into a big game and trying to learn a new role quickly like that, it's quite hard with a few training sessions. So I just feel like Rodri was not great because he was quite isolated. And the way Chelsea played Palmer in central, they got Sterling in centrally. I thought Pochettino was quite clever in the way he said, right, if we get the ball, punch it into them channels and make Rodri have to try and cover ground.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was really good with Cole Palmer today is the way he was running at us.
Yeah.
Right? And I would say that's probably shows that he's been around this City team. Right?
He knows what
and he
to
knows,
do.
don't try and help them. Don't run at them.
Get
right?
them. Yeah.
Run at them.
Yeah, make them either make a great tackle or they're going to foul me.
Yeah. Or you'll get through.
Yeah.
One of the
and he nearly did.
Yeah.
It would have been a great goal.
Three. I think Cole Palmer he clocks it. This is how you play City.
Are you happy to, because this is not just Cole Palmer doing this in one game. We've noticed it obviously the last few games now. He's become Chelsea's main man. People question when they signed him. You said that, if you could have kept him, you could have. But also at the same time, you understand he's a young guy, wants to go out and achieve his dreams. Big up St. Kitts and Nevis as well. He's repping for us at the moment. But I've got to give him his flowers because I do like his arrogance. And I don't find it cocky. I like that he believes in himself.
Yeah.
I like that he said, if Chelsea needs something,
Before
give me the ball.
He's from St. Kitts, you thought he was arrogant.
I didn't like him, yeah. I know, it's funny. Yeah, big up St. Kitts and Nevis. You saved yourself, Palmer. But, as a City fan, are you happy to see him go in there and doing very well?
Am I happy that he scored today? No.
No,
right.
But in general for him.
Am I happy in general for Cole Palmer? Listen, anyone that comes through Manchester City's academy, right, and leaves respectfully. Look, I get why. Pep said, I think before the game, he came in and said, I want to leave, and Pep said, okay, leave.
Yeah.
Right? I get it. Especially now, even more so. So, at the time, I was thinking, he said it's all about game time. If I'm getting game time, we then went and signed Doku. The writing was on the wall. Right? But even more so now, I feel like he's playing in a role that if any younger is going to get it, it's going to be Foden.
Yeah.
He's playing in a kind of role where almost like a bit of a free role.
Yep.
Where you can drop deep, pick up the ball, drive forward with it, drift out to the wings if you want.
He's the man they're building around, basically.
And exactly.
Yeah.
And is Cole Palmer as good as Phil Foden? No, he is not. Right? No, he isn't. And furthermore, Phil Foden, you've got to be real. Phil Foden has come through Manchester City as the star boy.
Yeah, he's like a generational player, isn't he? That's what people say.
He plays for Manchester City, so supports City. Phil Foden is a Manchester City fan, right? He's our first academy prospect, really, that from our new academy that everyone knows about. The writing was on the wall. So Cole Palmer wanted to get out of Manchester, focus on football. And for me, he's an academy player. And do you know what? He didn't celebrate today.
No, I respect it.
He didn't celebrate.
Yeah. Very cool as well. Very composed. Cause
he's very good with penalties.
Yeah, very good at penalties.
When he took their first penalty, because I think
Burnley.
He scored 3
yeah,
for
he scored,
now.
Yeah, he
I was
scored
like,
first one at
Cole
Burnley.
Palmer.
Yeah,
but
stepping up. And then Enzo had that situation with Sterling where he said, Enzo goes, Palmer, you're taking it.
Yeah.
And I like that sort of leadership. And Cole Palmer has stepped up.
Oh, it's this mentality that comes through the City Academy. Yeah. It's just this belief.
It is brilliant.
He's got that real belief.
I do want to ask you a question.
Yeah, go on.
So, if you look at it, where City are aiming to be, obviously going for the treble, you could say again. Obviously, want to win the title.
No, going for the four-peat.
Going for the four-peat. Yeah, going for the four-peat. Let's call it that.
Important.
Four-peat, most important.
Not the treble, because the treble We still
Yeah, he
could
could
do the
go,
treble
still
at
could
the
do the
Carabao,
treble. Yeah, but when you look at it, being a Man City fan, despite the game being helter skelter, 4-3 going into the 90th minute, do you feel like you bottled it as a team, or are you saying no? Do you know what? It was a fair result based on the outcome. How do you feel as a City fan,
Okay, so
truthfully?
if I'm being completely truthful, every single Premier League game, bar Liverpool away, if we don't get 3 points, then someone could say we bottled it. We're Manchester City. We've just done a three-peat and a treble, right? So everyone is going to say, but football don't work like that, right? This was April, May, March. Yeah, I'd probably hear it. This is November, and as a City fan,
You don't cook your main dish until February, March.
right now, we're going into. I'm not even going to say. I'm not going to say what every other. You've got Roms, hold tight Roms saying we're going into the international break in the top two. We got Tottenham in October doing the we're top. I'm not even going to say where we are in the league, right? Because it's November.
Yeah.
I couldn't give a shit.
You've been there. You've
right?
done it. You've worn a t-shirt enough times.
Honestly, if I was to get excited and start getting confident now, I'd be the same as everyone else. I will not be confident until mathematically we have won the league.
Yeah.
And I won't talk on nothing until we've won the league. Like
you did
today,
it. Daps is different. DID.
Today, I did. Today, you know what? I'll be honest. Today, I'll give Chelsea their props.
Like, yeah, and that's what I like.
This isn't about me talking about because look, will Manchester City have off days? We've had a couple this season already. Will we have more before this season is out? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. This is football, right? But today, I've got to give Chelsea their flowers. This isn't about City today, to be frank.
No, I like it.
And this is about Chelsea. The fact that Chelsea have gone, they hadn't scored one goal against Manchester City in 6 games, right?
Or 4. Jackson scoring again. Sterling getting a bit of a confidence booster and Palmer. And their front three scored.
And importantly as well, if you look at it, fitness of their team looks like it's getting better. The mentality of the team looks like it's getting better. So for me, this doesn't impact our season.
No, but it's good. I think.
But this impacts Chelsea's season.
Yeah,
and that's a talking point for me.
Yeah, I think it does. I think when I look at Chelsea now, I look at the top 4 of this Premier League, and obviously there is going to be Arsenal, there is going to be City, and there is going to be Liverpool. Tottenham at the moment are going through that stage at the moment where they're going to have tests. Van der Ven's out, Maddison's out, Romero's out for the next couple of games. That includes City game and the Villa game. Basuma suspended for the next game as well. Tottenham are going to have bumps in the road because at the moment they've started the season great.
Chelsea?
Tottenham are going to have bumps in the road. Tottenham are going to have bumps in the road because they haven't got that big squad depth, which I do think Chelsea have.
They have, especially the more so that Chelsea are now getting their players back.
They're getting their players back. And Kunku, for example, a big player in pre-season that linked up well with Jackson, he's going to be back. When I look at Reece James back, when I look at Chelsea now, I think that they're going to start hitting a run of form. They've got a couple hard games and they've got a good run of games. When I say good run as well, people, I'm talking about games like the Brentfords they should have won at home. They haven't done that so far this season. They need to now convert them into points because I'm not looking at this Chelsea team and ruling them out of top 4. If Chelsea can get a run of games together where they win and Poch keeps them fit and they keep cooking like this, I don't believe that Tottenham, Man United, Newcastle's and the Aston Villas that are sniffing for that 4th spot are consistent enough to keep them at bay, especially when they're playing 1 game a week. So for me, when I look at Chelsea today, I think there's a lot of positives they can take from it. I think a lot of players individually are going to start finding their confidence. They're starting to get their defenders back as well. And I do believe that with Cole Palmer there and Sterling and then Mudryk coming on making a difference, Brozier coming back from injuries. No,
I'm not saying about
no, I'm not saying about starting, but today coming on straight away, he ran towards Walker,
ran towards. Yeah, he cut in and lost the ball.
No. When they scored, they won. When I think they won the penalty, I think he came on.
Oh, really? I'm talking a different time. There's a different time
when
he cut in and he shouldn't have cut in.
Okay, but yeah, I just feel like in general, like they've got that squad depth which can enable them to still compete for top 4.
Do you know, I said when we did our final predictions for this season, I said that although where Chelsea were at that point, I said I can see Chelsea something clicking there enough for them to potentially get top 4. But it's if it clicks early enough or if it might just be a bit too late. And I think at the moment, maybe I wouldn't say it's, if you look at where Newcastle were when Eddie Howe took over last, right, it isn't too late.
No, so it's not too late.
I do see it. Can I just talk on one man as well? We spoke briefly on it as well. But Erling Haaland, he's now 13 Premier League goals already this season. Every time that he has one bad game, 2 bad games, he then goes on and scores 2 goals in. But his overall play, like you spoke on before, is improving so much. But people won't talk on it. So I've got to actually give him probably For City, I'd probably say he was our best player today.
Yeah. And I think in a game like this, you want him to be your best player as well because physical, it was entertaining. He had to do his job, not just putting the ball in the back of the net. And he did that. And I think one thing you got to say with these strikers, like I said, Darwin Núñez, Erling Haaland, early 20s, they're only going to get better. They're only going to learn about the Premier League even more. They're only going to develop physically themselves. It's scary times for rivals when you look at it.
And I mentioned Haaland because I also did want to say on Jackson, I mentioned it in the Tottenham game that yes, he had quite a few chances, but he kept going. And he ended up getting
and he got his goal.
Right? A lot of strikers, if they don't take their chances, their heads go down. Again today, do I think Jackson's overall game is good? No, right? I'll probably, being honest with you, say right now from what I've seen of him, his overall game is far worse than Haaland's.
Yeah.
However, as a poacher, he looks.
And he persevered, and it's still a good finish because sometimes the easiest finishes on the eye are the hardest one because you have time to think. But it was a great game. I think overall, best game of the season so far. I like that VAR wasn't too involved either. It was actually a football match. There weren't many stoppages. And I've got to credit both teams.
Just to talk on the penalty.
Yeah.
Do you know why that was given?
Which one?
The first penalty.
Haaland's one, yeah. I agree with it.
Ultimately, again, it's by the letter of the law because the referee blew. Right? Now, I personally believe in them situations, the referee should not blow.
And let VAR make the decision.
Let VAR make the decision.
Okay.
Because if the referee blows, VAR can then only get involved if it's a clear-cut...
obvious error.
Obvious error. Now, that was not a clear-cut obvious error.
No.
If the referee would have just let the goal stand...
Do you think the penalty would have been given?
By the letter of the law, maybe. But... For me, it was very weak.
Yeah,
very weak.
It's one of
they
them
both
ones,
had hands on each other.
Yeah, and I think it's one of them ones as well. It happens in most games, sort of week in, week out. And sometimes they're given, sometimes they're not. But that's where we need to find the consistency.
And it does need to be that if we're going to continue with VAR, that ultimately, I really do believe the game should be allowed to continue naturally, and then VAR does checks in the background.
And then they only intervene if they feel like they need to change the decision.
We need to intervene.
Yeah. Well, that way, we'll wrap up the show there. That was a great little segment there, talking on the Chelsea-Man City game 4-all. Absolute thrill at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea have got a lot of positives to build on. Can they still creep into that top 4? Let us know in the comments your thoughts on Chelsea long-term. And Manchester City, obviously, they missed a few key players. Where do you think they go from here? Obviously, it's not a defeat. They're still top of the table going into the international break. But, guys, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. And we'll see you on the other side of Never a Foul.